And hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Box Office Shuffle. It's time for Season 2, Episode 11, where this week we're going all the way back to 2004, which is somehow 21 years ago, for a comic book adaptation classic from Guillermo del Toro, Hellboy. The only one that counts, I would say. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't hate the Harbor one. It's just a blah movie. This is the Hellboy movie everybody remembers as being awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got
Yeah.
done watching that here for Box Office Shuffle off a DVD rip from one of our hosts, because Box Office Shuffle is a podcast where the three of us take our physical media collections, or in Joey's case, he rips them to a digital version, and then we put them in a randomizer, and every other week we have a different movie to watch. And this week was Joey's collection off a DVD rip of Hellboy. So I assume this was not anyone's first time watching of the three of us. I didn't actually
No.
ask, but I just made the assumption. I see head shaking, so
No.
it
I've
was
watched
not.
Hellboy quite a bit, yeah.
I've
Yeah.
definitely seen this. It's got to be pushing double digits at this point over the 21 years. In fact, a number of years ago when it dropped, I bought the steelbook of the
Nice.
the 4K version, which let me tell you,
Nice.
so I think Sony did the remaster. They don't fuck around with their 4K remasters, people. Their 4K discs, top shelf stuff. Like Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think, is also Sony. That was a Sony film, so of course the 4K was them. Excellent 4K version of that one too. But that's just why that one sticks into my brain. But the Hellboy 4K is pretty dope, and they restored a lot of the DVD special features that were cut off from a couple of the re-releases on Blu-ray. So Joey,
hmm
do you remember what other big movie was also coming out at this time in 2004? It was maybe a little bit before you might remember seeing it in
God.
theaters, but it was a big religious movie opposite Hellboy.
Oh, wow.
Was it the Passion of the Christ?
You got it in one. It was Passion of the
Fuck
Christ.
yes!
I need to
go!
actually. I meant to write it down. Passion of
Dehydrated
the
Joey for the
Christ
win.
release date. That came out a month before, which was February 2004, but had a February 25th, 2004. But had a very long release in theaters and started to bump up against Hellboy to the point where a number of theaters, when this released on April 2nd, 2004, didn't actually screen the film. And probably wouldn't for at least a couple weeks until Passion of the Christ was done. My guess would be like Fridley and Algona, if it had existed at the time, wouldn't have screened Hellboy.
No.
Because you got some theater companies that are really like family-friendly, right-wing,
Right.
and that definitely ran up into that. Which is one of the reasons this film was so long gestating and didn't actually like come out before. Because Guillermo del Toro had wanted to do an adaptation for quite some time, which we'll get into later.
Hmm.
But for facts and figures, for Hellboy, the 2004 version, it was directed by the aforementioned Guillermo del Toro, written by himself and Peter Briggs, along with a lot of consultation with the comic book creator, Mike Mignola, who was the Hellboy comics creator. He did more collaboration for this one than for Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, after, Del Toro had set his world and went off and running in his own direction. But unlike some other comic creators, like, oh my god, who is the guy that wrote Watchmen? Fuck
Oh,
me. But he like hates
yeah.
adaptations. Like just hates them. Magnola's like, hey, it's an adaptation, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna inherently be different because it's an adaptation. And he was totally fine with it. Largely at least. Also starring the like iconic version of the character is Ron Perlman. So Selma Blair, Jeffrey Tambor, Doug Jones, who actually didn't get to voice the character, Abe Sapien. That was done uncreditedly by David Hyde Pierce, which I actually completely forgot about. And kudos to him, he didn't want to take credit because he thought Jones' performance was excellent. So he didn't want the credit. John Hurt, marking our third Doctor Who character, like actual Doctor from Doctor Who, just this season. Right? We had
Yeah, we've covered three doctors
Peter
so far?
Capaldi, Christopher Ellickson, and
Yes.
now John Hurt as the War Doctor. We also had Carol Roden as Rasputin, and then Rupert Evans as John Myers. The budget was around 60 to 66 million, depending on the source, and box office about 99.8. And then you figure in the home media sales, it definitely made well north of $1 million. From the few forces I saw on just the DVD, which is largely why the sequel was greenlit, because it was at that break-even point. They weren't, it wasn't a runaway success, but it did get a sequel in 2008, Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, which I also own on 4K because it's an excellent fantasy film. So Joey, this was your film, so we'll let you take the plot from here, and then we'll tag team in as necessary.
All right, so brain's a little slow. Been dehydrated for a couple of days.
It is a Sunday, and it's hot as balls outside. Holy shit, it's hot.
And I've spent 2 days basically outside. So, all right, so starts off at World War II, Germany, 1994. There's
44.
What did I say?
You said 1994. Like,
whoa. 94, no. Yeah, 1944. It starts off with a new division kind of put together by the government because Nazi Germany is seeking, like, weird spiritual artifacts. I can't remember. It's like the Bureau of Phenomenon.
The Thule Society is what the official Nazis one was.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's the Bureau of Paranormal on the American side.
Bureau, yeah. We got the Bureau investigating the Nazis on an island. They go in. There's a guy trying to... Rasputin is trying to open up a portal. Portal gets opened. Then apparently we do an ambush and jump over perfectly good cover, where the ambush would have been more successful. Stuff goes down, portal gets closed, Rasputin gets melted into the portal, then we discover Hellboy, then we jump into the future, where we follow a new agent, joining the new bureau, falls in, kind of discovers Hellboy. Emergency happens. There's a critter broke loose at a museum, which come to find out is Samuel the Hellhound. I don't remember his full name. But we hunt him for a bit. Hellboy kicks his ass in a subway. And that's where we kind of find out that you can't really burn Hellboy.
But he still reacts.
Killed.
He still reacts to it for some reason. That's like inconsistency. Like he wouldn't say "ow" because it's hot.
Yeah. But back at the museum, the fish guy discovers that
fish guy. It's Abe Sapien. You put some respect on his name.
Sorry, Abe Sapien. No, he's back at the museum after Hellboy chases down the Samuel, the Beast, the Hellhound. Back at the museum, we find a blade. He does some see into the past concept, shows the doctor that was at the facility at the beginning half, or at the facility at the research, or the area where they discovered Hellboy, because he's kind of the head of the bureau. Or is he the head? No, he's not the head. He's like the second man, kind of controls all the critters.
But he's like the founder. So everyone's
the
just
founder,
like,
yes.
We do what he wants, not what the technical director says.
Yes. Abe Sapien shows him the past, kind of what happened at the museum, and he sees that Rasputin's back with his badass assassin. And then we get back, find out Samuel, the Hellhound, impregnates in his arm, release seeds into Hellboy's arm. Oh god. Then we discover the love interest, which her name was
Liz Sherman.
Liz. Thank you. Yeah.
The Human Torch.
Human Torch.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Chris Evans.
Which, didn't that come out the same year?
I think it did.
Yeah, Fantastic Four was 04, wasn't it? And then 06 was...
Silver Surfer.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't own those. Those are the only two Fox Marvel movies I don't own. Those were Fox, right? Where's that Sony?
Oh, it was 20th Century.
20th Century. It was Fox, yeah. I don't own those. But yeah, we find Liz.
I don't know this. We find Liz. She's in an asylum. Hellboy goes out and seeks her out after the... I guess I jumped. but seeks her out after he destroys the critter. We kind of get a little backstory on that. Then he goes back to the place, finds out the seeds inside of him, and then next day they're sent out to go hunting for more of the critters. They find them. Oh yeah, there's two. Oh man. Sorry,
yeah, all the
losing
agents die,
focus.
basically.
All the agents die.
Pretty much.
Yeah. They get manhandled down in the pits. The assassins there. Like two-blade assassins, kind of badass. Oh god. And then son of a bitch. Somebody will take over. I'm fucking having a brain fart. Sorry.
And then at this point, is this where the new agent Myers starts brings back
Yeah, she brings
Liz Sherman.
Yes.
They go on their date or whatever, and Hellboy is, of course, jealous AF. He might be red, but he is green with envy. And so, while all three of them are out, the director, what was his name again? Was he...
That I was trying to find.
Like Jeffrey Tambor's character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly
No,
don't remember.
not his character.
Director Brahm.
The dad.
Brahm. Right? Professor Brahm?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
or Broom.
because
I think,
on IMDb it's called Broom, and I think it's pronounced
they say it
Brahm,
like they
he was
say
definitely
it.
yeah, he's European, so it totally makes sense. I saw Broom, and I'm like, that's not him.
But some of them do say it as Broom in the film, so it might be Broom.
Oh,
maybe. But he gets unalived. I don't know if that's gonna demonetize us if I say something else.
I think it's been long enough since the intro.
Unalived. He gets brutally murdered. But he does die. Rasputin comes in, shows him his vision of the future, which is essentially Hellboy, full horny, and flames, the world burning, ending, all the good stuff you think in a hell movie. And shows him the glimpse of the future, then kills him. They all come back and deal with that loss, while then having to plan to make their way to, fix this little issue. I kind of tuned out at this point. So, Joey, back to you.
Yeah, back to me. So they go to try to fix the issue. The doctor, before he died, kind of pieced together oh god, who the assassin guy was. I think it's like a location based off that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he dies. Then we end up going to another island, the grave area. They go into this main facility. Everyone gets split up because of a trap. Then we engage like a D&D like base.
Yeah, very Guillermo del Toro. Like,
yeah.
Lots of labyrinths.
A labyrinth of some kind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that imagery in this movie, which we'll get to in a moment.
Hellboy eventually finds the assassin, kicks his ass. Well, then the agent and Liz and a third guy, no name.
Well, you knew he was fucked. He was fucked as soon as he showed up.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, it's the third act and we don't know your name.
We don't know your name.
And we don't know the actor's name. Like, I don't know Jeffrey Tambor's character, but I know Jeffrey Tambor. So, he was fine. It's the third act and you're a no-name. You fucked.
And then, so they find the eggs. After Hellboy kicks the ass of the assassin, here's Liz and them below. Hellboy breaks down, gets overtaken by the critters. Liz unleashes her. Well, first of all, third guy dies right away.
Viscerally, too. Yeah.
Just gets, literally just chewed up. Hellboy gets overwhelmed. Liz freaks out. The agent that we're following has to slap her, get her angry. She becomes blue. Fucking thermal nukes like the small area, clearing that out. Everyone gets captured. We have our agent is now caged up, or not caged up, is handcuffed. Hellboy is now kind of caged up, and Rasputin's trying to get him to open up a pillar that he brought with, to open up another portal so he can let Cthulhu through, basically. Hellboy refuses. Rasputin sucks the soul out of her. Hellboy gets sad. Then he speaks his true name, and apparently speaking his true name gives him, like, the spell unlock to unlock anything, apparently. The spell knock. So he unlocks himself. Huge horns grow. Super smooth looking. I don't know why that bothered me. Hellboy goes up to a pillar, inserts his big red hand, opens it up. Big pillar. Then we see the crystal-like critters kind of hatch and start to come through the portal. By the time that's happening, the agent slips free of his cuffs, throws the cross, or rosemary? Not rosemary. Throws a cross with beads on it. I can't remember what it's called. At Hellboy to remind himself
rosary,
that his
I think
father
it's
was.
Yeah.
Rosary, thank you.
Yeah, rosemary is something you cook with.
Rosemary, yeah. There was holy rosemary at him. Hellboy catches it, and he's like, oh shit, yeah, my father, and stuff.
And it burns the cross into his hand.
And it burns his cross into him, which is kind of a cool, like, imagery there.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? And then Hellboy gets angry, breaks off his horn, which is pretty cool. Some of the blonde lady falls, I don't remember, and then our agent boot kicks her in the head. The blonde, it was Rasputin's helper. And then Hellboy goes, stabs Rasputin with one of his horns. Rasputin's like, oh god, you've released the god inside of me. I'm like, okay, weird. Cthulhu comes out of him. They grabbed up Liz, and Hellboy goes back with a damaged thing of grenades that they had. And a really cool fight scene that I kind of enjoyed, where he breaks off the stone sword and kind of slashes that. Cthulhu kind of commences. Hellboy gets eaten, releases the grenades inside the critter, blows up the critter, and the day is saved. Ooh, no, he whispers something into Liz's ear to bring back her soul from the other side, from crossing over.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like, devil,
threatens hell.
You give me the soul back,
hell.
or I will come kick your ass.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. The movie's kind of filled with those, like, one-liners that are kind of fitting, which I do like. I do enjoy.
So that's roughly the
that's
plot.
Hellboy.
Not bad. Much better than last week. The last episode we
Mhm.
did. Much better.
Yes.
Kudos to you, Joe. So, obviously we went through the plot and we mentioned a number of things, but I think we'll start with some pre-production stuff. So, did you guys do any other research on the movie individually?
No.
Which is fine.
No, I
Okay.
did not.
So I mostly perused a couple different articles as well as the main Wikipedia page, and then went into the sources to check them out.
Yeah.
Which is general research stuff. Now apparently I didn't actually know this. I knew about the one actor as well as a few others' names that had been floated out. But as an up-and-coming actor, Vin Diesel was actually one of the first choices on the studio side for someone who could play Hellboy. At least on the physical
Interesting.
component, which is not
You?
incorrect.
Yeah.
He's a big dude,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And he's a huge nerd. Like, I'm sure he probably, like, maybe his agents wanted the role because, like, he's a big nerd, big D&D guy. I'm sure he actually probably read some Hellboy comics back in their
Right.
original run. But I don't think he was ever officially offered the role from what I could see. Jeremy Renner was, of all people. And he turned it down. Apparently, at the time, was the biggest paycheck of his career until he would start getting much larger roles, obviously with Marvel, and then The Hurt Locker as well.
Mm.
That would be just a few years later, I believe. Wasn't that 08? Was that 07?
Hurt Locker?
What? Hurt Locker?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It was him and Anthony
remember.
Mackie, and yeah, when did that come out? But yeah, he was apparently offered the role. It's in his like autobiography thing he did with God, what was the I should go back through my sources, but it was an interview he did, and then he also I think wrote about it in something he wrote. I can't remember if it was just an article or an autobiography piece. But Del Toro specifically always wanted Perlman. Like, he wrote the character, he wrote the dialogue, because he was like, it's gonna be him. Because didn't Del Toro do Blade 2? Wasn't that him?
I can tell you, Hurt Locker did come out in 08.
Yeah, Blade 2 director.
Don't
Yeah,
know.
it was
I've never
Del
seen
Toro.
any of them.
And Ron Perlman is I want to say minor antagonist in the Blade series and that movie specifically. And that's where they first connected, and he's like, this script I'm working on for Hellboy, that will not happen for like 2 years, after sequentially, because Blade 2 was '02. It's going to be you, right? And it just happened to work out, and they ended up getting it through. He was fighting for it the whole way to get Perlman, and it happened. And the rest is history, because he's fucking awesome as Hellboy.
Oh,
Dude,
for
he
sure.
fits it so
fantastic.
well.
It's so good.
He has the demeanor, but he's just the exact look of Hellboy. All you have to do is paint his face red and add some horns.
And behind the scenes, they were worried about, like, okay, on the acting side, like, more people are right-handed, or so can we put the thing on the non-dominant hand? For the gun scenes and everything, like, you want to be able to use your normal hand, right? It's a lot less of a physical constraint. Well, it turns out Perlman's a lefty, so they can keep the right hand of Doom on the right
great.
hand. So like there's a sequence where we first get introduced to how the BRPD like operates in public with the garbage truck, and they roll up to the museum, and there's a licensed track that says like, and he carries the right hand of Doom in the track. And they were like, if he wasn't a righty, we couldn't have used that track, because it would have been on his left hand.
Wow.
So it actually did impact some of the editing choices as well when it came to the score, which I thought was
Sweet.
one of those weird things you don't think about with movies, is like, what
Yeah.
hand is the actor? Like, what's their dominant hand? I thought was cool. One of the recurring things for me that I mentioned, you notice throughout the film, especially when you know why they're doing it, is Del Toro wanted to use a lot of labyrinths in the theme and in the background imagery, because the whole point is Hellboy choosing the right path. So he has to navigate all these labyrinths, metaphorically and physically. You get that dual symbology with filmmaking, which is very Del Toro. So it was
Very.
it fit the world really well too. Like, they built a world where
100%.
that this kind of thing is not entirely unbelievable, that there's this nigh magical labyrinth that traps after like 100 years still work, that kind of thing,
Right.
which I dug. Though some CGI that definitely doesn't hold up as well. But
Yeah, the practical
But-
effects are fucking great, but
Yeah.
some of
But
the
they're
CGI
not
parts are-
awful.
oh no, not
Yeah.
the worst
Oh,
I've ever
yeah.
seen. This is
Yeah.
not Scorpion King and the Mummy bad, right?
Right.
But it's not awesome, even
Right.
all these years later. Though I don't remember if they remastered it for the 4K cut. I might actually pop that in and check. Because I've watched the 4K version, but that was like 4 years ago now that I watched it. So I might have to go double check that scene where he gets flipped up at the end by the monster.
Yeah.
That's really noticeable there. I might have to see if that's the issue there as well. If it still has noticeable, or if they actually cleaned it up as best they can.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
And another note for me, the Liz/Hellboy relationship is entirely a invention of the film. Nowhere in the comics at all.
Oh.
Del Toro just really liked the imagery of a woman with fire and a man that can't be hurt by fire being in a relationship. And he was like, the image that we last see of them, which is them, embracing, kissing with the fire, engulfing them both, that was like, I need to see that. And then he wrote the rest from there with their relationship arc. Yeah.
Oh wow.
He kind of worked backwards from
Didn't
that
know that.
image.
And I like the way the blue flames kind of clash with the red of
Yeah.
Hellboy. Always looks great.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And then obviously they continue that, I think, quite well in the next film, and I'm really sad we never got a third. Part of me still hopes we get some kind of animated adaptation of their third film, what it would have been. Because, man, Hellboy 2: The Golden Army is dope.
Like, do a Hellboy film in the style of the Predator movie, the animated Predator that just came out, because
Yeah.
I've heard that that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to see that movie, but
I need
like
to see it.
from what I've seen of that Predator movie, that would fit so well for
Yeah, that could be dope.
a Hellboy movie.
Yeah. And it'd be a new thing for Del Toro to be like, ooh, I get to fuck around with a new medium. Let's go. Like,
Not really.
well,
he
he's
did
done
Pinocchio.
He's done
he did
some.
the
He's done
animated
work.
Pinocchio.
But in terms of if you were doing it as a vignette, you know, like different Hellboy stories and stuff, I think that'd be a cool
Yeah.
thing for him to play around with. More almost miniseries ish, which I think would be quite cool with this character and the world that of the adaptation world of Hellboy that they built, because it is a fair bit different than the actual comics. Our buddy Fusion is a big original comic Hellboy fan of the Mignola run, and he's, you know, we've talked about the differences before, but it is an adaptation and a really fun one.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy it. So you guys got any other notes on the plot? Any big, you know, like this worked? I liked this the most. The imagery of Liz, like the hit me and then like exploding, I thought was a real high point for that film, of her like embracing her own abilities. I really like that moment. That's one of my favorites.
I like the moment where it's like, oh, you find out Hellboy's not just like dumb muscle. Like he's designed different weapons for different critters. He's gone out and got like the finger of a pope or something like that to help protect. Yeah. I mean, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fucking dope. And like he's got like a shit ton of history with like this another universe in the other side. And like, there's no explaining. It's just he just knows it. I'm like, I like that kind of writing.
Yeah,
you know.
I really dug that.
This is pretty cool. And then the poor Russian soul that gets dug up. I thought it was kind of cool.
I was gonna bring
D&D.
I was gonna bring that one up because like that reminded me of the scene in Honor Amongst Thieves where they speak with dead. And that's such a funny scene to me.
So
I love
good.
that, and that's so D&D as well. Like
yes,
the D&D movie, Honor Among Thieves. That one, not any of the other ones that say that they're a D&D movie. That one actually does such a good job, and I hope they do more in that universe because they nailed it. They nailed it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
especially with like the success of like the Critical Role stuff and everything. It's like someone's got to make a legitimate series. Like not that, you know, Vox Machina isn't legitimate, but like someone's got to do something with the D&D like proper IP as a series kind of thing.
Like, dude, a Curse of Strahd show would be
so
nutty.
hard.
Yeah, it would go crazy. The only reason I feel like they don't do it is because it's like, oh, well, we're just gonna ruin the adventure for people who play. But I don't think that would be really an issue. Because there's so many different ways to play it.
That or just go super meta with it, like being if there's like a side plot of like the characters, like they know it's a game, you know, like they're being played by people.
Right.
I'd love that with a D&D series. Like one of the episodes is a party wipe, and then they have to start all the way the fuck over in the middle of an episode.
That would be pretty cool. Do like a whole Lego movie type like transition.
That'd be phenomenal, right?
That would be so good.
Just go absolutely wild with it. But so back to this one. One note about Joey, your lore stuff. What a time 2004 and 5-ish was. Because it wasn't just Hellboy that came out. I want to say a year later was Constantine. That was 2005.
Holy shit.
Constantine 2005. Yeah, that was 2005. And
when was
that
Sin
year
City?
Was Supernatural.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn. These are kind of good, like...
Yeah, Sin City was 2005.
Oh.
Yeah, like, and that was the Frank Miller adaptation. And... that would spawn a few Frank Miller adaptations. There was The Spirit. There's a Samuel Jackson one. He's in one.
Okay.
Huh.
Along with, I want to say Jessica Alba. Maybe it was Scarlett Johansson. Might have been. I think it was Johansson.
Jessica Alba was in Sin City.
Yeah, and then it was the other one that was a Frank Miller adaptation. I think it was Frank Miller. That Scarlett Johansson's in that one. Yeah, as like the love interest character. And then, it was Supernatural. We had a number of different odd indie adaptations like Constantine. That way, again, Constantine's not a really direct adaptation of anything, but it's fucking cool. Like, there was just a lot of stuff that really has stood the test of time from that, like, 18-month window of, like, really unique, different ways to do that kind of genre fantasy. that have largely held
Yeah.
up,
Mm-hmm.
especially the original run of Supernatural for me. That's
Ugh.
1 through 5 of Supernatural. It's just
So fucking good.
awesome TV.
And I feel like this was also like the time where like Ron Perlman found his way into these just weirdly nerdy alternative
Yeah, and
movies,
also
like
being on like I'm gonna be one of the leads on Sons of Anarchy. Like,
yeah, doing that. And then he went on to he was in Pacific Rim, which I'm sure Del Toro was like, I just need
You
you to
gotta
play this
have
role.
him.
It's for you. But he was also in this movie. I don't know if you guys heard of this, Bunraku. It was a movie that's like the world, there's no guns, but it's like modern day ish. So it's like bows and arrows and like swords and knives, and it's like this samurai and then like a bartender. It's like this weirdest thing, and I've never actually seen it, but I bring it up because Woody Harrelson was in it, and that's going to be our connection to.
there we go. This one came late.
It did. But also, looking at this freaking poster, it looks so bad. I'm sending it in the
please.
in the thing, just a link to the movie site or whatever. But it looks so bad. But I want it. I want to watch this.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. I think that'll do it for my notes. Other than that, in the sequel, Doug Jones actually got to voice the character. So if you go to Hellboy 2: A Golden Army,
Oh, nice.
that's why Abe sounds different. It's because it's actually Doug's voice.
My brother, I think, because he lives out in LA, he's an actor. He met Doug Jones. I could be wrong. I might have to check in on him. I didn't do it because he's in a hospital waiting for a baby to be born. So I didn't pester him. But I believe he met Doug Jones while serving him at Five Guys. Five Guys. He met Doug Jones, and I believe he also met do you guys watch Psych?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
love
The detective, the male detective that's like always against
Timothy Odmanson.
Yeah.
I was thinking Timothy Oliphant, and I was like, that's not right.
Different
Odmanson.
Tim, but yeah.
Yeah, he met him and chatted with him like 3 or 4 times while working at Five Guys.
Oh, that's funny. Let's go.
Yeah, I think he's back to working now because he had a really bad stroke. It was either a stroke or an aneurysm.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think
Okay.
stroke, and I think he's back to working now. But
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
But yeah. Oh, speaking of, he was in Supernatural. He plays the demon Cain for like only 2 or 3 episodes, but he's
Okay.
awesome.
It's
in
all
that
coming
role.
back to being from hell.
Pretty much. We all got-
Hellboys.
We all got connections to this era of Hollywood right now.
Wait,
Yeah.
we're like
Oh,
we're like 3 steps away from
oh man,
Kingpin.
Yeah,
Holy
Joey's
shit.
cat is like
Personally.
perfectly in the bottom of the frame when you lean back.
We're being hard judged right now.
Joey will have to go over and get his score. What's your score though of this film? If you had to give it an out of 5, remember 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, like keep it on the
I'd give it
0 or 0.5.
I'll give it a 4.
Okay.
In the category.
Okay, Chris, what you got?
Or 4.3.
I'd probably give it a 3, a watchable 3. But like I said earlier, like I kind of checked out at one point because I feel like the middle of that movie is just paced a little bit slow. It just takes a little bit too much time to get to the next big thing that I actually care about. But Ron Perlman's great. The action is fun. So it's a rewatchable 3.
And if you had to compare it to Hellboy 2, which do you think is the better movie?
I don't know if I've seen Hellboy 2.
Oh shit. That is one I would absolutely throw on for just a random movie night. It's awesome.
I may have seen Hellboy 2. The last time I watched Hellboy 1, and the only times I've ever watched Hellboy 1, was when it was airing on FX, when I used to watch TV.
Oh, that would be
So
on
it's
all
been
the
a
time.
long
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
So if I've seen Hellboy 2, it's been probably longer than me seeing Hellboy 1.
Fair enough.
But I only probably saw it once.
Joey, your thoughts on that question?
I've only seen Hellboy 2
Oh man,
single digits.
I gotta show you
Single
this,
digit
guys. Then
amount?
we gotta.
So I'm just gonna have to say, just going based off memory, I'm gonna have to go with Hellboy is better. The
Okay.
first one.
Well, we might have to make Hellboy 2 a watch party then at some point,
Okay.
regardless of this podcast. Maybe that'll be during
All
our
right.
off season, which is coming up soon because we already know what our next 2 films are going to be. Last week during our wait, what the fuck? My brain's so tired. I don't even remember what we watched last week. It was Push.
Yes.
Push.
we
Very
ran
good. I
we
like
ran our shuffler for the last 3 episodes of the season, so we know what our next ones are going to be. We have Chris's collection up next. He pulled Batman Begins, the start
Dude,
of.
I'm about to nail that plot.
yeah.
It's gonna be so crisp. I've seen this so many times.
Oh yeah, it's very an up your alley movie. So, and then last will be my collection. We're gonna watch Knives Out, which I believe for Joe, it's either Joey or Chris. It's the first time.
It's me.
Okay.
It'll be my first time watching it.
I'm also gonna get my mom to watch it, like maybe with us or at the same time on my digital version, so that way, she can, talk about it as well. When I'm done and I ask her if she enjoyed it, because she's a big whodunit fan. So, all right, so that's gonna do it for us for this episode. If you're in the comments, what did you think about Hellboy? Either the re-release, of the 4K version, or if you're just coming in and haven't seen it in a long time. Let us know what your comments and your thoughts on the movie are on the comments below. And then we'll be back in roughly 2 weeks, depending on when we actually can sit down to watch Batman Begins. We got a vacation. I got a vacation to plan around, and then we'll be back in roughly 2 weeks for Batman Begins. See you around.
Let's go.